Hello, everyone. Welcome back to We the Fandom. Today, I'm breaking down and reviewing the series finale of The Bad Batch. So stick around as we unpack the fate of our favorite characters and how the finale ties up the loose ends of the entire series. Spoiler warning, if you haven't already watched the finale, there will be spoilers throughout the review, so you have been warned. It's been almost exactly 3 years since The Bad Batch premiered on Disney Plus. With Clone Force 99 as the perspective characters, we continued where the Clone Wars left off with Order 66 and the dark transition from Republic to Galactic Empire, as well as introducing the female clone Omega. 3 years and lots of filler episodes later, and the Bad Batch finale brings it all home. I forgot to mention that I'm also going to be covering episode 14, and it didn't get its own video because it's really just a short and simple setup for the finale. So in episode 14, Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair, along with former Admiral Rampart, head to Tantus attached to a science vessel. They manage to detach on entry but are shot down by an Imperial patrol. They make their way to the base on foot, and Rampart ends up being separated from the group and captured by the Empire. Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair, meanwhile, have to fight the Dryax from episode 3, and Wrecker gets heavily injured. Meanwhile, Omega is crawling through the vents of the Tantus base in order to find a way for her and the other children to escape. The episode ends with Omega coming up with a plan which will involve the Zillo Beast that the Empire captured in Season 2. In the finale, Omega and the children successfully escape the vault and release the Zillo Beast, which not only provides Omega with the distraction she needed, but breaks a giant hole through the base, giving Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair a way in. Dr. Hemlock activates a special unit of Shadow Troopers who defeat and capture the Bad Batch in a brutal fight, which resulted in Crosshair losing his hand. The three of them are taken to be brainwashed so that Hemlock can use them just as he's used all these other clones. Echo and Dr. Carr team up to find the kids and meet up with them in the hangar, where Carr takes the other children to Pabu Island while Echo and Omega free all of the captive clones. Echo, Omega, and the clones are able to free the Bad Batch and kill the Shadow Trooper unit in another brutal fight, but not without more sacrifices, including Hemlock kidnapping Omega. As Hemlock attempts to flee Tantus with Omega and Scorch, both he and Scorch are finally killed by Hunter and Crosshair. And with the team finally safe from the threat of the Empire, they decide to return and settle on Pabu Island. Skip ahead a number of years, as the Bad Batch have aged but are still alive, and Omega, now as a young adult, has decided to join the rebellion as a pilot, saying goodbye to Hunter and for the first time, voluntarily leaving the team to go fight on her own. And to me, this was a really good ending because although I didn't like Omega for most of the series, she really came into her own and kind of earned her own status as a hero, even without being actually force sensitive, or whether she was truly or not. I don't think they settled on that. But she was able to save those kids. She was able to save Crosshair in more ways than one. She helped save those other clones and stopped Dr. Hemlock. She started out in season 1 as this innocent kid, completely naive to the way the galaxy worked, but through all of her trials, she never gave up on trying to help others. So she had her hero's journey where her knowledge and capabilities caught up with her inherent drive to do good, and as an extension, she gave Clone Force 99 a reason to keep fighting after the Clone Wars, and eventually a reason to stop fighting as they had created a family that they wanted to preserve. The remaining members of Clone Force 99 went through some character development as well. The always reckless and cavalier Wrecker had to face a situation on Tantus where he had to seriously consider the limits of his own abilities and know when to stop. Crosshair got to redeem himself and earn his place back on the team, but also realized that he has value as a member of this family. He also lost the hand that had troubled him as a souvenir of his time being tortured by Hemlock. And as for Hunter, he has to learn to let go of Omega. He's always been very protective of her. He's been the father figure to her more than any other member of the Bad Batch since the very beginning, being the one to decide to take on the responsibility of raising her. And so having to let her go off on her own to go fight for the rebellion forced him in a way to let go of the reason for why he kept fighting after the Clone Wars, and to finally accept peace for himself. Another interesting story thread from season 1 that comes to a close is Admiral Rampart and Nala Se and the legacy of the Kaminoan cloning project. Nala Se kills herself and Admiral Rampart in an effort to destroy all the information in the databases of Tantus relating to Project Necromancer, as Nala Se doesn't want the Empire to continue to abuse her knowledge. In a way, she kind of finishes off what Rampart started in the finale of season 1, when he destroyed Tipoca City, in essence, ending the entire Kaminoan race outside of Nala Se and that one Kaminoan senator whose name I can't remember, but also the cloning research. So Nala Se has her agency returned to her, and she uses that opportunity to end the Kaminoan legacy and the cloning research on her own terms. To me, Rampart was never a very compelling villain, but I can't pretend like he wasn't instrumental to the destruction of Kamino and the cloning process, which were central to the original trilogy and the Clone Wars series, and everything that's really kicked off the past decade or so of Star Wars. The one thing I was disappointed by in the finale was the revelation that Shadow Trooper was not actually tech. Now, I admit that I had unrealistic expectations for that because looking back, there was no strong implication that that sniper was ever tech. It just made sense to me because of what they were doing with the Shadow Trooper. So I'm not saying that it had to be tech. I'm not saying that they made a huge mistake by not making him tech. I just think they should have done something different with the Shadow Trooper if he wasn't going to be tech. And it has to do with the Shadow Trooper unit that Hemlock activates in the finale. Because the Shadow Trooper unit was cool for all of about 5 seconds, but as you watch the finale, you know that's not going to last. It's the end of the story. The good guys are going to win. And so I think it would have better served that group and Dr. Hemlock and the research he was working on if they had activated the entire Shadow Trooper unit at the same time as the sniper. I believe the reason they kept focusing on that sniper was to give Crosshair a reflection of what he would have become if he had stayed in the Empire. It also made it more difficult for him to come to terms and forgive himself for his own sins and move on to reintegrate himself as a member of the Bad Batch. I think it would have made the story more interesting and raised the stakes of the entire season if the Shadow Trooper unit as a whole had been activated towards the beginning and Hunter and Wrecker had been given a counterpart the same as Crosshair. As not only could it have added more action to those filler episodes, but it would have given Hunter and Wrecker the chance to experience as much character development as Crosshair had in Season 3. It may have taken away some of the shock value of what the Shadow Trooper unit was able to accomplish in the finale by fairly easily taking out the rest of the Bad Batch, but I think it would have made the rest of the season more interesting and the transitions between the important episodes and the filler episodes more smooth. But overall, I still liked how the finale ended. So here's a question for you guys. Do you think that Omega leaving to join the rebellion is going to spin off into anything? Or will she appear in a future series like Skeleton Crew or whatever else is coming down the pipeline for Star Wars? Let me know in the comment section. Watching The Bad Batch one season at a time was always incredibly frustrating due to how much filler content there was, but looking at the journey as a whole, there was some necessity to those fetch quests, to the animal rescues, and the Bad Batch constantly having to save Omega, because it helped Omega gain a lot of the experiences that she never had very quick, and it hastened the growing period of the bond between Omega and the Bad Batch. Overall, I think the series began and ended great, with the journey in the middle being something that is easier to appreciate with hindsight. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you enjoyed my breakdown of the Bad Batch finale, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out my breakdown and review of Star Wars Tales of the Empire. Thanks for watching.